Should you compete in powerlifting? Now, in today's video, I'm going to help you answer that question. I have around a decade of experience coaching and competing in the sport, my best total being 1,050 kilograms, that's 2,314 pounds, and today we're going to talk about all of the pros and cons that you need to consider before you step on the platform. Let's get it. And welcome back to your mum's favorite channel on YouTube, Cult Strength. Now, today I'm answering the question for you: should you be competing in powerlifting? Now, that's a pretty big question, and I also think that this kind of rolls over to strongman as well. So, should you be competing in powerlifting or strongman in a strength sport? Now, there's a lot to consider, okay, when we're thinking about this, because there's a lot more to it than what you see at the surface level. And I think before you start to invest in something like this, in competing, I think you need to give it some really solid thought and consideration, and you need to see if it's really going to be right for you. Why are you competing? What's your reason? What's your purpose? And should you do it? And that's what we want to kind of cover in today's video. Now, and also today we are going to be announcing the winners of the 25,000 subscriber giveaway. Today is the day, so if you entered in the giveaway, make sure you hang around till the end to find out if you won either a bundle of single lift programs valued at $220 or some knee wraps. So hang around till the end and you'll find out. Alright, now how we're going to tackle this today, I'm going to discuss the pros and cons. Now, I've written down a bunch of stuff here in what I believe the pros are of competing, the cons of competing, and what are the pros of potentially still doing your strength training but not actually competing in any of these sports. What are the pros and cons of that? And there's quite a few, and I definitely think that some of these these things we're going to talk about, they should be taken into consideration, and that's coming from someone who has a lot of experience in the sport. Now, I've been around the sport for a decade. I probably competed for around 7 years, and I'm actually getting back into competing again now after some time off. So I think there's a lot for me to say. I've also coached countless athletes in powerlifting and in strongman, and I understand what goes into competing, and some people unfortunately aren't quite made for it, and that's okay. We'll talk about that, but there's also a lot of people out there that I think could benefit a lot from the competition aspect of lifting, and we want to talk about that as well. So we'll get started now. Alright, now first we're going to talk about, if you're competing in the sport, what are the pros for competing in powerlifting or strongman? Now, one of the first things that I think is really important to talk about is that competing in a sport, and we'll say, for this one, it's pretty much general with any sport, right? But obviously we're talking about strongman powerlifting, but competing is great for accountability. In terms of you're going to turn up to training, you're going to put in work, because when you compete, there's like an end date, right? When you're going to compete, and you're going to be putting yourself to the test in a public manner. Now, most people don't want to embarrass themselves when they compete. And by embarrass themselves, I mean they have a certain expectation of themselves and they want to achieve that, and then there's also the aspect of a lot of people want to beat other people at what they're competing with, right? That's kind of the point of it. So it drives you to be better. Now, not only are we going there to put on our best performance, but when we're competing against other people and we want to beat them. And that's not always possible. There's always going to be people at different levels, but the point of it is it's going to continually push you to get better and better. There's always going to be someone stronger than you somewhere. And you should always be climbing, always be chasing, because the moment you think you're the top dog, you're no longer the top dog, because someone's going to come and take your place. And that's the beautiful aspect of competing, I think, is that it brings the best out of you. Okay? It definitely brings the best out of you. And if that was just one reason to compete, I think it's something to truly consider. It brings quality to your training. I guess it helps with the discipline aspect of it, because, as I said, when we have that end date and there's an expectation there's other people that are going to be there, we want to do well. So even the days that we don't feel like it, we're going to be more inclined to just go and fucking do it, because we know We have a date and we have to impress. It is what it is with that. Now, another aspect of competing, you're going to maximize your strength. If you want to know how strong you could possibly be, you must compete, okay? Because competing is what is going to drive you to that next level, kind of like what I was just talking about. You're going to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Now, is that right or wrong? Not for me to say, okay? The point being, if you're competing and you are competitive by nature, this is how you're going to maximize your strength. This is how you're going to see and reach your true potential when it comes to how much fucking weight you can move. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so if that is really important to you, please understand that although if you don't have competition, you're not competing, yes, you go to the gym all the time, you're missing that little X factor, that special ingredient, right? That's going to give you that extra 1 or 2% that you didn't know you had to take you to that next level. And doing that is going to come with risk, of course. But point being, you will absolutely maximize your strength if you compete. Now, one more pro, I think, to competing, and this is more of a general perspective, okay? I'm talking to mostly men here, because mostly men on this channel. Now, I think it's really, really important for men to compete, okay? Especially young men. Young men as they're growing up, you know, fucking if you're 18, 19, 20, even younger. I think it's important to compete with each other. Now, yes, I do believe in maintaining healthy sportsmanship, but that competitive dog needs to be exercised in man. I really believe that. I believe that it does wonders for character building later in life. I think putting yourself under that kind of pressure, it builds character, builds resilience, and prepares you for challenges that you may encounter in life. And I'm not just talking about strength sports here. It could be any kind of sport, team sport, whatever it is. I think it's important to have that drive, that ambition to be better. Okay, I think that does great things, you know, when it comes to building a man, or a man trying to build himself up to be someone, to be strong, right? And I'm not saying you have to be the best. It's the aspect of putting yourself to the test. That's what's really important here. A lot of people shy away and they get scared of putting it on the line. But you got to put it on the line to get better, because you just go and do your competition. Don't expect to be the best in the world straight away. It takes time. It takes time. And the fact that it takes time means that it takes discipline to keep coming back. And that in itself, you know, at a higher level, when you compete, you push yourself beyond, you know, what you thought you were physically capable of. That does incredible things for you as a person, okay, for your entire being, okay. It builds something that you can take into the future to help you. And it may not be specific, of course, but it's just undergoing the challenge, seeing it through, and knowing that you did everything you could to succeed. That is incredible. Just quickly going to interrupt the video to say that I have, in the last week, released 2 programs on my website, a 16-week powerlifting peaking program, Path of Power, and also the 16-week power building program, Manifesto of Mass. They are both live now on my website, cultstrength.square.site. Go and get yours, baby. Now, there's cons. Of course there's cons to competing. We're going to be real here, okay? I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm just going to be honest with you. So, something that you will absolutely encounter if you decide to compete and compete hard, right, is you're going to be living with constant aches and pains. It's not healthy. Like, lifting weights is healthy. Competing in sport is not healthy. Trying to be the best at something is not healthy. You're going to push your body beyond its limits. We're not built for it. You're going to constantly be sore. You're going to constantly be aching. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have niggles. And of course, there's things we can do, you know, to limit that. But at the end of the day, the way we're pushing our body, it is inevitable that it's going to happen at some point. But one thing is guaranteed is you will constantly be sore, and you will constantly, you know, be nursing something at the top level. I'm not saying entry level competing, Okay, I'm talking about if you want to be good, that's what's going to happen. And is that a bad thing? Yes, it is. It sucks. But that comes with the territory. Okay, there's things we can do to minimize aches and pains, of course. So we can make sure we're lifting with proper technique. We can try and limit inflammation in the body through our diet, through certain things, making sure we're getting enough rest and recovery, but we're still going to have aches and pains. Just telling you, when you're trying to maximize kilograms on the bar and your body is doing weird things to try and make that happen, you're going to be sore. That's the truth. Now, something that a lot of people don't talk about enough, in my opinion, is the fact that you will feel immense pressure to take supplements such as PEDs. Now, you may only be doing it to even the playing field, okay? Because when you're at the top level, you will understand that people do what they need to do to be the best. And some people will push the absolute limit of that. And a lot of people are uncomfortable going there, okay? You're gonna feel the pressure to push things more and more, the better you want to get, okay, to a certain degree, especially at first, in my opinion, in my experience, okay. These days, I'm much more knowledgeable and I have much more experience under my belt to understand how things work, but at first, you definitely feel that pressure to up the dose, man, and that is not good for your health. I'm not going to be sugarcoating it. That is extremely detrimental to your health. Taking super physiological levels of these chemicals and hormones, there is no benefit to your health. Okay, there's benefits to your health in, potentially having TRT and things like that, but when it comes to proper cycles, it's not healthy. It's not. Okay, and sometimes you have to experience it to understand it. Hopefully, some people out there are listening now and they're hearing me. Is it worth it? That's going to come down to the individual. Okay. For some people, it may be worth it. For some people, they may regret it. There's also a healthy balance. We can also do that, we can also play with those things, experiment with those things within a healthy, balanced way, if we want to say it like that, okay? We don't have to abuse things. That's definitely not the way to go. But what I'm saying is you're going to feel the pressure, you're going to feel the heat, because other people are going to do crazy things. You're going to see them get stronger. You're going to wonder why. You're going to find out why, and you're going to be tempted yourself. And that's a decision you're going to have to make. So when you step into the sport, if you choose to compete, understand you're going to have to make some hard decisions if you want to reach the top. Be sure of your expectations. That's all I can tell you. Another thing is that your social life is most likely going to suffer. You want to, work life, social life balance, you're probably not going to have that anymore, because when we compete, and we're talking about, when we compete on a serious level, other things take priority. It becomes a bit of an obsession, the training. We tend to really hyperfixate on our training, and that's pretty common, okay? Now, I'm not saying you can't compete and still maintain a decent social life, but when we take into, consideration the fact that training at the top level, peaking for competition, training gets heavy, training gets hard, that last 6 weeks of prep, you're not going to feel like doing much. You're not going to feel like going to work. You're not going to want to socialize. You're going to be tired. You're going to be sore. You're going to be cranky. And that's just the truth. No matter who you are, it's going to be a challenge to not feel those ways. So it can definitely interfere with your personal life on many levels, whether it's work, relationships, or just yourself. So you need to take that into consideration as well if you're choosing to compete. Now, if you want to just compete for fun, you're probably not going to suffer as many of those things, right? But when we're being realistic, and you have to understand the fact that it is a slippery slope, because you do a competition, you get the bug, you want to do it again, right? It's like when people make that decision to start taking PEDs, it's a slippery slope. They say they'll just start with a little bit, next minute they're doing this and that, and they don't know how to live without it, okay? So it's always a slippery slope. So just be sure that, when you're making these big decisions, that you understand these are real things that can happen. Now, the last con I'm going to talk about when it comes to competing is that this can be expensive. Powerlifting, strongman, it's expensive. Now, we have to think about the fact that to be at a higher level, most people should have a coach. A good coach isn't cheap. They shouldn't be anyway, right? We tend to pay people based on their product, on what their time is worth. And generally when someone is good at something, their time is worth a little bit more. So take into consideration that coaching can be expensive. You don't have to have coaching. You can just buy programs. If you want to buy a program, go to a website, cultstrength.square.site. I got you covered. But coaching is expensive, even just programs, right? It still costs money. It still costs money. What else is there? Okay, we've got travel. You may not be competing in your local city, your local state. A lot of the time that's the case. A lot of the time you have to travel. Even if you plan on just doing a local competition, what if you qualify for a competition that's in another state, okay? Then we've got to consider traveling there, accommodation. You've got registration for federations. You have to pay a yearly membership and you have to pay registration fees for competitions. You have equipment, okay? If you want to train properly, you're going to have to buy equipment. If your local gym doesn't have it, you're going to have to buy it. If you want to give yourself the best chance at doing well, right? You can just use other equipment, but ideally we want to use proper equipment. We've got things like knee wraps, wrist wraps, shoes, belts, lifting suits, training clothes, specialty barbells, specialty plates. It's a very expensive sport, hobby, whatever you want to call it. And real talk, there is hardly any financial return, even at the top level. Okay, the biggest powerlifting meets, I don't know if they're paying out much more than $15,000 to $20,000 for a win. And let me just tell you, that is not a lot of money. Not a lot of money at all when it comes to what goes into competing at the highest level, traveling, PED cycles, all the food you have to eat, all the massage therapy, the physical therapy, all right? All of it, the travel, the accommodation. Man, you don't have much left afterwards, even after winning one of the biggest shows in the world, okay? And, you know, yes, there's more money these days than there used to be, but in powerlifting, there's no financial return there. In strongman, we're starting to see some really good money at the top. At the top. Like, same with powerlifting, at the top. But for 99% of people, they're going to see absolutely zero financial return. And if you do see some money back from it, it may only be a few $100s here and there. And that's really not covering anything. And that's just me being completely honest with you. So it is an expensive hobby for the most part. If you get really good, of course you can get sponsorships, okay? You may get people offer to, you know, fly you out to do a competition for them, you know, to boost exposure and things like that. But that's really hard to get to that level, and not many people ever will, okay? And you need to be aware of that. It's a tough pill to swallow sometimes, right? But it is what it is. But they're the pros and cons of competing in powerlifting / strongman. All right, now, quickly, if you're still here, like this video, drop a comment and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Channel's been growing really quickly lately, and you know, I'd love to get to over 50,000 subscribers in the near future. I think we're sitting at over 26,000 now, maybe nearly 26,000. So we're going up all the time. We only hit 25K just over a week ago, which is why we're doing the giveaway announcement at the end of this video, and it's just going up. So I appreciate you guys, and the more you engage with my videos, the more you watch them, you know, it definitely helps my channel grow, and that's the goal. So massive thank you. Now let's talk about pros and cons of not competing but still being a lifting enthusiast, still taking it quite seriously, okay, but just not making that decision to compete. Now, some of the pros: your health can be a higher priority. Now, when we choose to compete, health isn't a priority. I don't care what you say, it's really not. Getting the most amount of weight on the bar, if you're a competitive person, is the priority. Health is secondary, and that's not good. Not endorsing it whatsoever. When we don't compete, we can prioritize health, because the priority isn't loading up the biggest squat, bench, deadlift we possibly can. It may be loading up the biggest squat, bench, or deadlift you can whilst being in good health. That could be a priority, okay? So understand that not competing will allow you to spend more time on your health, such as cardiovascular training, and you may have a bit more energy to probably make some more productive decisions, like cooking some healthy food instead of doing something cheap and easy just because you're too tired and too sore to be organized. And that's the truth, right? So I think not competing will just give you that opportunity to shift priorities a little bit, we should say. Now that leads into the next one, which is your social life and that, that work balance, whatever it is that you're looking for. You can maintain some sort of function there. Okay, you can have a very healthy social life and work balance and whatever it is you're looking for when a max squat, bench, deadlift, or you're not trying to reach Giants Live or World's Strongest Man. Okay, you can spend more time, making sure you have more balance in your life. There's not as much pressure to get to the gym. Okay, if there's an important event but it coincides with deadlift day, you can probably prioritize the event and do deadlifts the next day. Whereas if you're competing, you know that you have to be on a certain schedule, and just missing one day or pushing it a day back sometimes can really put a spanner in the works. So it's definitely a little easier to maintain that balance, in my opinion. I've lived it, I've seen it, and that's just what I feel. Now, another pro is that there's generally going to be more variety, which can lead to more enjoyment when you train, because when we do powerlifting, strongman, generally, we don't always enjoy it. It can be a little tedious. In strongman, you could be training for events you don't want to do, you don't like, but they're in the comp, so you have to do them. In powerlifting, it can be tedious working on squat, bench, deadlift for 16 weeks. When you're not competing, you can train with more freedom. I like to use power building as an example. You may just be, floating a little more freely, still with some very good structure to your training, but you can do a wider variety of exercises, a wider variety of rep ranges, different challenges, and you can definitely add more cardiovascular aspects to your training, which is excellent for your health. And one more thing I guess we can say is that we can focus on the aesthetics, okay? Because priorities are different. When we're trying to max out a squat, bench, and deadlift, being aesthetic isn't really priority, okay? People, especially more heavyweight guys, because there's no limit on their weight, but let's just say it's easier to get sloppy and let yourself go a little bit, especially when you see that sometimes adding a few kilos, even if it's a bit of junk mass, can help you lift more weight sometimes, especially with the squat and sometimes the bench press as well. So, I think that by not competing, it will allow you to spend more time focusing on building a more symmetrical body, if that's what you're after. Maybe some bigger arms, because big arms are nice, but you don't need to have big biceps for a big squat, bench, or deadlift. And that's the truth. It's nice to have big arms, but they really don't help with those lifts, okay? So different priorities means you can do different things. Now, let's talk about the cons of not competing, because there are a few cons as well. Now, one of the big ones for me, if and I've realized this, I've lived this, because I went from competing often to having a break. And the fact is, you won't get as strong if you don't compete. Since I stopped competing, I've found it very difficult to get myself back to the same level of strength that I had. It's been impossible. I haven't done it yet. Now, that's why I want to get myself back into competing now, because I have that itch to be stronger than I've ever been before. But the fact is, if you don't compete, you won't see your true strength potential. You won't know exactly what you could have done. If you choose to compete, you have the opportunity to find out what you're made of if you want to put the work in. But that's something to consider as well, right? Although there's many cons that come with competing, one of the pros are you do get to see what you're made of. And if you don't compete, you won't get to see it. You won't see your potential. You won't see what you're made of. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Now, another one is that not just powerlifting, strongman, especially in any sport, I think, I'm probably talking to men more again here, ladies, so don't take offense to this, but you may lack resilience and focus when in high pressure situations in life if you don't put yourself in uncomfortable positions on a regular basis, such as competing. It's different to just training in the gym. There is a high level of anxiety and excitement that comes from competing, and it is an experience and it is a skill to learn to manage that. And that's something I think people should put themselves, or a position people should put themselves into more often, if only for the experience and to learn how to control those emotions and feelings. It can be very overwhelming to compete, don't get me wrong. Anxiety and nerves through the roof. Even as an experienced competitor myself, I still get sick, I get nauseous, I vomit before I compete. I do. I want to go home. I try and talk myself out of being there. But I know the drill. I know what my fucking brain's doing. Eventually, it passes, swallow it, you get in the fucking zone, you get it done. Okay? But I definitely think that by not undergoing these experiences, by not doing it, you are potentially missing out on some real character building in life. Can we find the same character building elsewhere? I don't think so. I think competing against other people is very unique, especially when it comes to something on a physical level, on a physical plane. This is different than intellect. This is physicality. We are men, we're animals, we are beasts, and I think there is that part of us that really desires competition. We need it. My opinion. Let me know in the comments if you agree though. Lastly, I think, again, interesting is the fact that it can be very easier to fall into phases of not training, as in getting very complacent, not sticking to a plan. When we don't have that accountability of competition, it's easier to listen to the voice in your head that says, you don't have to go to the gym today. You should just, go and play your PlayStation. Just go and get on the computer and go to your favorite website and touch your thing. You know what I'm saying? I think when you don't have competition, it's easier to be overcome by that voice and to be manipulated by it. When you commit to something, when you know you have something on the horizon, for me, particularly what I've seen in my athletes, it's much easier to stay the course, much easier to say no, it's much easier to tell the voice to just shut up. And that's what you need to do. And I think that's kind of it, right? You just need to consider these things. I think that there's a lot of pros to competing, there's a lot of pros to not competing. I've laid it out for you here. What you choose to do is up to you. You know, I've always been an advocate for competing, and I would always lean towards that. But that's not my decision to make. It's always up to you, because you may have different priorities than I do, and that's fine. But I hope that this was helpful on some level. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you're still here, do me a massive favor. Like this video, drop a comment and subscribe. But right now, before we go, we're doing the giveaway. So hold your horses. I'm gonna get it ready now. All right, baby. Now, to have entered in the 25K subscriber giveaway, you had to go to a video that I posted just over a week ago titled Huge Squat PR. And in the video, I stated that whoever drops a comment on this video and gets the most amount of likes, you will win. Now, I had 5 prizes to give away. So the top 5 comments, you guys win. Obviously, the top 2 comments win the major prize valued at $220. And then the minor 3, or the next 3 runners up, you could say, win the minor prize of a pair of God Killer knee wraps. Now, I left it up to you guys. Whatever comments got the most likes, that's up to you, whatever you liked the most, right? So right now I'm going to go through this. We'll start with the minor prizes. We'll start with the knee wraps. Now, to claim your prize, please send us a screenshot of your comment, okay, with your handle to thecultstrength@gmail.com so we can communicate with you and get your prizes to you, okay? Nice and easy. Now, I'm going to give you 1 week from this video to claim your prize. 1 week. That's it. I think that's fair, okay? 1 week to claim your prize. After that, I'm going to go back through here again and find the next person if you guys miss out. So, in 5th place with 10 likes on the comment, Quinton Grobler 5194. Very good, my man. You got 10 likes on your comment. I'm not going to go through each comment because a lot of it's gassing me up, and I appreciate it, but I'm not reading it out. But thank you, my man. You win a pair of knee wraps. Quinton Grobler. What a legend. In 4th place, we have Black and Red Gamer. My man, 14 likes on your comment. I appreciate you. Thank you for entering. I hope you enjoy some new knee wraps. My man. And in a very close 3rd position, we have Oliver 411. My guy, thank you for your support on my channel. Thanks for the comment. I do hope you enjoy your knee wraps. Hope you get a big old squat, baby. Yeah, I do. And in 2nd place, my man, you win a bundle of programs. Single lift program, squat, bench, and deadlift valued at $220. We have Brindor Zinski. That's spelled BRNDORZYNSKI. Brendor Zinski, my man, 23 likes on your comment. I appreciate you. You are the man. I hope you get strong as heck with those programs, which you will. Make sure you send me an email at deepcultstrength@gmail.com with your comment, just like I said earlier, and we'll sort you out, my dude. And in first place, my man, my apostle, user-22SAS. You had a whopping 39 likes on your comment, and you win a bundle of programs also. Congratulations, my man, that is awesome. So there is a 25k subscriber giveaway. I appreciate everybody who entered. If you didn't win, I'm sorry, it's life, it sucks, I know sometimes. But I'm gonna have more giveaways soon. I'll probably do another one at 30k. I'll give away some more shit. I'll probably just give some shit away randomly soon anyway, because why not? You know, I always try and give away a lot of free knowledge and wisdom. I hope you appreciate it. I'm sure you do. Training wise, tomorrow we've got some deadlifts. I'm not sure how heavy we're going. If I'm feeling good, I'm gonna cook. I'm probably gonna go to base gym as well, go see Sebastian, Australian strength coach, and get my deadlift session in there, which is exciting. And then we have some heavy bench with Vassar on the weekend as well. So some good training to come this week. I think we're moving on to 4 weeks out of competition, on my deadlift competition. Yeah, we are 4 weeks out, October 27. So pressure's ramping for that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting on the fucking platform and lifting some weights off the ground. Absolutely. How exciting. But until next time, gang, you know what to do. Go to the fucking gym. Do it.